What's up guys, and welcome to my guide to getting started in Windurst in Final Fantasy Classic. Step 1 will be to create your character and pick Windurst as your starting city. Step 2, go back to the main menu and delete your character. Step 3, pick Sandoria or Bastok. Step 4, follow the appropriate guide on my channel for your real starting city. Thanks a lot for watching, and happy adventuring! Alright, jokes aside, starting in Windurst has become almost kind of a meme within the Final Fantasy XI community. As much as the atmosphere of Windurst is honestly one of my favorites, it does come with its fair share of challenges. The city is massive, and its location is also very isolated, making it kind of a pain to get anywhere, especially in the early game. The lower population makes it a big challenge to get outpost warps, making it even more of a drag as fast travel is greatly compromised. That's not to say it's impossible to strive and obtain the warps, but it will be significantly harder. Picking Windurst as your main city is the equivalent of picking hard mode, but it does come with some perks. Windurst area is great to make some guild due to the monster types surrounding the city. The conquest points gear is also far more valuable as there are fewer of them in the market. In this guide, we will cover the basics to get started on the right foot. Little disclaimer, I will be repeating some tricks I did mention in my last two guides for Sandoria and Bastok for sake of consistency. The footage and guide is intended for the classic era of Final Fantasy XI and was made on the WingsXI private server. The information portrayed here might not apply or be optimal if you're playing this on another server or on retail. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Let's first go over the basics. First thing we will do is lower the in-game music to an acceptable level. The default sound and music for this game is absolutely bonkers and will rend you deaf, so lower to your preference before anything else. While we're in the settings, we will also set our inventory sort to automatic. This will simply make sure your items stack on their own without having you to do it manually after every couple kills. Now that that is out of the way, let's move to the tutorial NPC for Windurst named Celili, located near the gate in Windurst Woods at K10. She will prompt us to get Signet by talking to the guard right on the other side of the gate. General rule of thumb, you always want to have Signet on, as it provides minor resting buffs as well as a currency that can be really useful for gear in the future. Go back to the NPC, and this time she will ask you to use one of the meat jerkies that she just provided to you. Once you have the buff active for food, talk to her again and she will now prompt you to learn your first weapon skill. We are now almost ready to go venture out into the wild. Before we do that though, let's make our way to our mug house. Depending on your race nation combo, you are awarded a level 1 ring. Tarus and Mithras starting in Windy will get the Windurstian ring. Humes and Galka and Bastok get the Bastokan ring, and Elvans and Sandoria will get the Sandorian ring. On retail, these are not tradable, but on Wings you can actually trade them or send them out by mail. Because of this, you can make some alt characters in all three of the main nations and send the rings right back to your new main. As a thief, I am able to rock a Bastokan and Sandorian ring right out of the gate. You can also send any weapons and gear you get from the different starting jobs. This is actually a trick that I used in my Sandorian guide as I started as a red mage and was able to use the sword that a warrior normally gets instead of the subpar Onion dagger. On our way back to the gate in Windurst Woods, we will make a quick stop to Jack of Spades at age 10 to trade him our adventurer coupon for a whopping 50 gil. Not much, but since he's on the way, might as well trade it. It's a good idea to set up your home point here as well, as you will instantly warp back to this spot if things go south. And if you're anything like me, they will. With all of our early game errands finally completed, let's get out the gate into East Saruta Baruta. As you exit, there will be a Fields of Valor book to your right. These are scattered around outdoor areas and will provide hunts for you to complete in exchange for extra experience, some gil, and a currency called tabs. You can exchange the tabs for very useful buffs like regen, refresh, re-raise, and even a teleport back to your home nation. Let's grab page 1, which will ask you to kill 6 mobs of the Mandragora family. Let's make our way slightly south and focus on killing the bees and tiny mandragoras we see. The mandragoras really don't have any good drops for us, but we will solely kill the 6 we need for the hunt. Once that's done, just focus on killing bees as they drop wing crystals, which are far more valuable along with some honey. Repeat until about level 4 or until you've learned your first weapon skill. Let's now make our way back to Selele and show her how much we have grown. She will tell us we're awesome and then ask us to go to the auction house counter, which is just a short walk from her current location. This is a really good moment to sell any stacks of crystals you have accumulated so far, so they can sell while you keep leveling. Let's go back to Selele and talk to her until she provides you with a chariot band along with the raising earring. The band will provide some extra experience when used and is a free tool to help you bridge the gap to level 12. If you're a mage, it's also a good idea to look into some cheap spells at the auction house or at the magic shop located in Port Windurst at H7. From there, we will go back into the wild to the book and grab a new page if possible. You can actually grab a fresh page every single game day. If you've started off as a mage, grab refresh. If you did not, grab regen instead. This will provide some mana or HP regeneration and will help tremendously to keep you going without having you to stop every few mobs to heal. We will move slightly up and change our targets to crawlers, yagudos, and carrion crows. Make sure to use the check command and focus on mobs that are decent challenge or easy prey as much as possible. The crawlers will drop silk, crawler calculus, and a smooth stone. The silk sells very well on the auction house, and a single stack of them can actually finance most of your early gear. The calculus and smooth stone will be used in quests that we will cover a little bit later in the video. The yagudos drop wind crystals, feathers, and also necklaces. These all sell pretty well, and the yagudo necklaces can be used in a quest that will provide a small reward on top of Tenshoto fame. As for the crows, they drop fire crystals, bird feathers, and eggs, again all selling very well on the auction house. You can repeat this process until about level 7 or 8, where we will slightly change camps. We will then cross Windurst Woods right into Port Windurst, all the way to the gate to West Saruta Baruta. From here, you can grab page 3, which consists of killing carrion crows along with some crawlers. Refresh your buffs from the book if they have or are close to expire. Right outside the gate along the road, you will find plenty of crawlers and crows for you to kill, along with the occasional goblin. These are not a bad target, as they also drop fire crystals and have a chance to drop wild onions, which can be used in a quest later on. Also try and kill a few rarabs, as they have a 7% chance to drop a torn epistle, a rare X item we will need for another quest later on. Just like we did earlier, it's a really good idea to use the check command on the mobs, as their level can vary greatly. I was told by many that a great spot to farm the crawlers and level is the Starhill Hillock around I6, I7, but in all honesty, the mobs there checked around level 8 and I kept getting my ass handed to me. I personally suggest chaining easy preys as much as possible, as they will provide a much more consistent XP stream while minimizing the risks. I was a thief, so maybe this spot is better if you're a monk or a warrior or maybe red mage. Regardless, it's worth at least farming a few crawlers at this spot, as they have a good chance to drop a meteorite, another drop item used in a quest that rewards a really good headpiece. We will repeat this process until about level 10, when it will be time to upgrade our gear and or spells. Depending on the drops you have accumulated so far, there are a multitude of quests we can complete in order to get us some gil and some free gear. We will make our way first to Ilu Boja at 8-6 in Windurst Woods. She will offer 600 gil for every 3 crawler calculus and 3 silk threads we have gathered so far. Silk sells for much higher on the auction house, so I actually recommend keeping those for now, but the calculus is definitely worth the trade here. We can also do the quest Hat in Hand by Baron Morin inside the hat shop at H7 in Windurst Waters. He will ask you to promote his hat to the NPCs in Windurst. The wiki said you can get max reward by talking to everyone in Windurst Waters. I'm not sure if this quest is bugged on Wings or I did this wrong, but I did talk to everyone and only one NPC said something that actually related to my hat or seemed to care at all. I got minimal reward in form of 150 gil, but it's better than nothing. You can also trade in your Yagudo necklaces to Nanamigo at J3 in Windurst Woods. If you got the meteorite from the crawlers at the hill and the torn epistle from the rabbits, you can complete the quest Starstruck in Windurst Walls, which rewards an awesome headpiece. You can also trade in a Rarab tail for an amazing healer neckpiece in the form of the Justice Badge in Port Windurst. As you can see, the list is really extensive and it would be impossible to cover every single quest right here, so I will simply leave a link to all the worthwhile early game quests in the comments of the video. In terms of purchasing gear, the shops in Windurst are a little lackluster. You can maybe send some gil to one of your mules you created earlier in Sandoria and Bastok, as they offer much better options. I recommend scouting the auction house and comparing the prices with the different shops before making a purchase, as every gil counts in those early levels. As a thief, I opted to purchase a hand-to-hand weapon as it's way stronger than daggers pre-level 33 and will be preferred by most parties later on. I also opted to purchase a Legionnaire's crossbow, as leveling marksmanship is also extremely useful for Thief to boost your damage and also as a puller. You can purchase some bolts for quite cheap at the good shop in Windurst Woods at H13. The rest of the gear will have to wait for now, as all my crystals are still on the auction house for sale. From here, you have two real options. You can make your way back to the hill and keep killing crawlers, yagudos, and crows until you reach level 12. You can make your way slightly west and zone into Gideus at F8 in West Saruta Baruta. The area is swarming with low-level yagudos and you can chain them quite easily while gathering more wind crystals, feathers, and necklaces. The only thing to be careful here is they tend to kinda hang out in large groups and they will gang up on you if you're not careful. If you can, try to avoid the Yagudo acolytes, as their debuffs like Dia and Paralyze are really annoying. If Windurst owns the Saruta Baruta region, which it usually does, it's a really good idea to get the supplies from the guard gate, as you will be able to teleport directly to the outpost, which is perfectly located for the two camps. Repeat until you are level 12. At this point, we can make our way back to town and trade in all of our acquired drops either to the NPCs for the various quests or simply on the auction house. From here, the choice is really yours, as a lot of options kind of open up. You can continue to solo at the hill in Western Saruta Baruta and keep killing crawlers, as you will now be able to chain them with little to no difficulty while farming more silk and calculus. You could also get started on Windurst missions, as the first few are quite easy to solo. You could also decide to swap jobs at the Mug House, getting an early lead in leveling your future support job, all while farming more items to trade in, thus getting some extra cash. You could also make your way to Valkurm Dunes and start partying. That is quite a long and treacherous walk away from Windurst, sadly, so make sure you are prepared with your gear and or scrolls. I would say this is one of the biggest disadvantages to starting in Windurst, as getting to the dunes is a very laborious and dangerous affair compared to the two other nations anyways. I highly recommend joining a link shell from the concierge in Windurst Woods before heading out. Our link shell, GoodMorningEveryone, is one of the largest on the server, if not the largest, so there's always someone to help you out when you need it. Next thing we can do is check who owns the Kolshushu regions as well as the Zolkheim region. We will have to pass right in front of the two outposts, so it's a really good idea to grab the supplies if possible for quicker warps in the future. Once we have finished our preparation and grabbed the supplies, we will make our way into Western Saruta Baruta. From there, we will make our way to the northern exit into East Saruta Baruta. We will then have to make our way east towards Tarongi Canyon, all the way on the northeast side of the map. From here, we will want to make our way to Buburimu Peninsula. It's worth making a quick detour though to the Crag of Mea along the way, slightly north of our path, in order to grab the crystal and enable teleports to the area. Be careful, as the Yagudos and goblins here will aggro, and some might be real tough to deal with at our current level. Once the crystal is obtained, make your way back south to the entrance to Buburimu Peninsula at K8. If you were able to grab the supplies for the region, make sure to trade them to the guard on your way. Let's keep walking in this wasteland all the way to the town of Mora. If you're bad like me, make sure to use your re-raise hairpin, as all the gobs here aggro and will murder you in a few hits. It's quite a long walk, and last thing we want is to do it again. Once we finally made it to Mora, make your way to the ferry. The ferry will lead us straight into Selbina, right on the border of Valkurm Dunes. After all this, I would recommend sending your home point in Selbina. If you had the supplies to Zulkheim, even better, and make sure to drop them at the outpost to be able to warp there directly in the future. From here, throw that flag up and find some new friends to group with. If you struggle to make a group, ask your link shell, as most people have some low level jobs to level and will be able to help you get on the lizard murder spree. Once you're level 18, make sure to do the quest for your support job. Don't be shy to again yell or ask your link shell for help. In conclusion, here are the main points to remember when starting your journey in Final Fantasy XI Classic, specifically from Windurst. One is always to have Signet on. This will buff your HP MP recovered, and the currency you get for free is just too useful to pass on. 2 is always to focus on mobs that have valuable drops on the auction house, just like the crawlers and the crows. 3 is always to double check the auction house and the shops, as the prices can vary quite drastically. 4, make sure to grab your support job at 18. You should get most of the drops from just partying in the dunes, but the skull can be a little tricky to get. If you need some help, do a server yell or simply ask your link shell for some assistance. 5, level multiple jobs, as it's a great way to obtain more gil, more items, more gear, all while getting ready for that support job when you get it. Lastly, make sure you keep all of the Beastman seals you have collected, as they will be very useful later on for BCNMs, which are special encounters with some unique drops. Well, that's it for my guide for getting started in Windurst. I won't lie, I had a rough time making this video, as I kept dying and struggled to make ends meet early on. I can say with confidence that starting in Windurst is legit like picking hard mode when you start your character, but it does come with a few advantages, especially in the mid to late game. As mentioned earlier, the Conquest Points gear from Windurst is worth a lot more gil than their counterpart due to the lower population. Also, Mission 3-2 of Windurst gets you a key item that's unique to them to open the 3-mage gate in Inner Harototo Runes. This is extremely useful, as going through the gate is hell, as you need a red, black, and white mage to open the gate normally. Windurstians will have a portal charm and can completely bypass this mechanic. Also, the atmosphere in Windurst is kinda cool, it's one of my favorites. The mobs types around the city have a big potential for gil, it's nice and calming, the music is great. It does come with the downside of struggling to get precious outpost warps due to the lower population though, so make sure you consider all of these before making your final decision. Huge thanks to everyone in my link shell for providing me with some tips that I shared here on this video. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more content coming in the near future. If you feel like I missed anything, please feel free to leave it in the comment and share it below with your fellow adventurers. Thanks a lot for watching, and happy adventuring.